Hello, welcome to the Citrus Garden. If you're new here, my name is Christina. If you're not new here, hi, welcome back. It's great to see you. This is a general collective reading. There are no signs attached to it, so only take it if it resonates for you. Otherwise, just go watch a different video. Don't take on energy that is not yours. So let's get started here. The overall context, which is really interesting. You have here the Singer of Courage, and underneath that the Rar, which adds like an exclamation mark to this, that whatever's happening here is requiring some courage, or a lot of courage, let's say. And the Maiden coming out underneath that. So I feel like there's some sort of new beginning here. With the Singer of Courage, though, it's kind of like there is some like facing fears in whatever this is, especially with the mouse. Oh my god. Okay, the mouse coming out underneath that, and then underneath the mouse was the elephant. I'm just thinking of like there's like this not like a story, but like something about like the mouse and the elephant, right? Like such a like of like which one's fearful of what is kind of what's coming through here. I don't know if that's like a children's story or something like that. But anyway, so I didn't even see the elephant until I picked up this mouse. So there's something here about like, so this mouse talks about like some sort of, well, I just feel like today it's really mentioning like, or like confirming this energy of courage, like somebody, an energy here who's like, perhaps feeling fearful about something, but it's like as soon as you pick it up, or as soon as you do whatever it is, that it could be a project of some sort, or could just be some sort of action that you're being guided to take. As soon as you do it, it's kind of like the elephant. Some sort of obstacles being removed is how it's coming through. But it's like there might be somebody here who's like focused on the details of something, like really focused on the details, or like, small aspects of the thing that are like, not that they're not relevant. I feel like they are relevant. Like the details are relevant, but it's kind of like there's an energy here of like needing to balance something here. That's so interesting that the elephant came out underneath that. Okay, so a lot of courage. A lot of courage is, I feel like whoever this reading is for is tapping into that already, because that's the overall context. It's, okay, so anyways, the first two cards that are coming out here. You have here the Topsy-Turvets and the Fire Ant, which is really interesting. Obviously very similar energies today. The Topsy-Turvets talks about needing to get a different perspective, especially because there's an energy here of like, this card talks about confusion or being drawn, like these energies are drawn to confusion. So somebody might be in a state of like confusion, or just like looking at the details too much is how it's coming through. Or with the Fire Ant, because this card talks about, to me, is kind of like an energy of discomfort. The guidance, or like the guidebook was talking about an energy that feeds imbalance, which is really interesting to me. It feeds imbalance. And it was okay, so anyways, so it feels perhaps like a gathering of some sort, right? Like it could be like a gathering, especially with like, or like a group or crowd or something. And it's kind of like, especially energies of like fear, right? Or like any sort of like intense emotional energy with this Fire Ant. Those kind of energies can build on each other, especially with this Rar coming out underneath the Singer of Courage, where it's like maybe there's somebody who's entering a space that like feeds an imbalance of some sort. Like there's some sort of imbalance in this energy, which is so interesting. It has something to do with this, right? The mouse and the elephant. Anyways, there's something here about that, where like entering into perhaps just a place that causes a lot of confusion, but there's kind of like this energy here of like in this place of whatever, I'm just gonna call it like discomfort. Whatever this fire ant energy is for you, perhaps it triggers anxiety. Whatever this event is, or gathering perhaps triggers anxieties in some way. But it's like wanting you to get a different perspective on that, because what I'm seeing here actually is kind of like perhaps there's someone here, especially if it's kind of like maybe like a social anxiety of some sort, or some sort of like energy here of like, it's coming through with like stampede now or something like that, where it's like there's somebody here who perhaps might feel like small is kind of how it's feeling, like small within that environment, when it's kind of like they're actually the elephant is how it's coming through. Like extremely powerful is how this is feeling to me. So that might be part of the confusion. It's like wanting you to have a different perspective on like perhaps your position in this dynamic is how that's coming through. Underneath the fire ant, you have here the death card, which talks about getting closure on something. So it could be something from the past that you're revisiting, or you're getting a new perspective on, right? Like seeing a different situation from, or seeing a past situation maybe from a different perspective, or another person's perspective is how that's coming through, which brings closure to that situation. There's a really interesting energy coming out in the next two cards, because you have here the Sage and the Dark Lady, which is such a like extremely powerful combination of cards. This one, like just the key words that came out for the Sage talks about wisdom, retreat, and patience, which is interesting. But today it's coming through more of like a logical sort of thinking mind kind of energy with the Sage, like conscious wisdom that you are aware of, or logic if you want it. It doesn't feel like logic, but it feels like mind-based kind of energies, right? Like thinking energies. And the Dark Lady, the keyword that came out for her was unconscious wisdom. So there's this energy here of conscious wisdom and unconscious wisdom that are coming in together, right? Like so much like a lot of information perhaps is being given to you, or you're getting some sort, sorry for the blurriness, you're getting some sort of like clarity about something perhaps, but I feel like there's something here about like because the Sage is coming out here with the unicorn, which is the third eye, right? So it could be that like this fire ant energy just feels like a place or an energy that you're going into, or that perhaps you've already been in, or you're getting, like it kind of feels like getting closure on a past energy, whatever that is for you. And it kind of feels like you're seeing something here with your third eye, or understanding something, or getting wisdom or downloads, or like a clear picture, understanding about something from the past, perhaps about like your role in it, or or just like a better understanding of who you are, maybe. Okay, underneath the unicorn, you have here the Daughter of Swords, which I really love. This talks about being a watchful energy. It was coming through today, especially like with this. It's kind of like you go to like a party or something, like some sort of gathering. I'm just saying that, like a party or like whatever, something like that, just because that's an energy that feels like the fire ant to me. But anyways, that's just a personal thing. But you're at like a party or something, and then sort of sitting on the outside, not on the outside, but on the edges, right? Like watching or learning or observing or collecting information. It could be something like that, where it's like you're just like, especially with the sage, it talks about like retreat, like being sort of on the outer edges of something, along the borders, along the boundaries of something, and looking into a situation and getting all of this information, perhaps like intuitively. There's also something here about like with these two cards and the mouse. I was getting kind of like this energy here of like if you've ever seen like an owl pellet, right? Like an owl pellet, like how they digest their food. Sometimes in owl pellets you can like see the bones still, right? Like you can see the bones, you can see like the fur that of like what was eaten, like the non-digestible parts. There's something here about like maybe there's a situation that you're getting closure about, like what was not digestible, meaning like it wasn't something that was like it was discarded maybe as like a pellet because it was non-digestible. There might be something like that. I don't know how that relates to you or the message, but because there's something here about like with the Dark Lady coming out next, because this is talking about unconscious wisdom, but what's coming out underneath here is the Four of Pentacles and the Five of Wands. It's really interesting because it's kind of like there's something here unconscious coming to the surface, I want to say. This card has been coming up, like it came out in the last reading as well, I think, which was talking about sort of like taking a look at what has grown, or like what has what's coming up from the soil, what's around you, like what manifestations you have created. And it's kind of like this is what you're seeing in the daylight, is how I'm gonna put it. Like, so something from the unconscious energy is coming up into the daylight, is how that's looking to me. Where it's like that, like this is like the owl pellet, like what's inside the owl pellet, like what was quote unquote eaten or digested or not digested. Maybe it's like you're looking back at a situation about like a past situation that had perhaps unconscious energies that were like taken on. Okay, now I see where this is going. Okay, so it's kind of like, especially if there was wounding, because sometimes this fire ant card talks to me about a wound that needs healing or that needs attention, right? That's like causing irritation in some way, where it's like, especially if there was wounding that happened in some sort of dynamic. When that happens, if there's wounding that happens, energy is exchanged. And there's so many examples of this in like literature and stories where it's like the person who was wounded actually like absorbs or takes on part of the energy of the person who wounded them. And so it's like that's sort of what's coming through here as being like maybe there was an unconscious sort of transferring of energy that happened is how that's coming through. And so, but now you're seeing the evidence of that in the owl pellet, right? Like what was undigested, like what sort of left over. And what's coming through here is a 4 of Pentacles and a 5 of Wands, which is tough energy. There's something here about like, well, this four of Pentacles talks about sort of like stagnation in terms of resources or money or like whatever, that kind of thing. Any sort of physical resource and holding on to it, right? Like a stuckness in that area of resources, Pentacles. And then the 5 of Wands talks about like not being able to focus on things, especially in this deck. Having sort of like a split energy. I often see this card as being like broken reflections, like not seeing, like just having conflict with other people because you're not seeing eye to eye, that kind of thing, where it's kind of, and so this is what's in the owl pellet, like like after this situation has been digested spiritually, right? Like after the wisdom has been gained from this situation, this is sort of what was not properly digested or was not useful, or it's like, it's that kind of energy. This is what is remaining in the owl pellet. Sorry if that's like weirdly, I don't know. Anyways, what's coming out next though is that I feel like there is closure happening about that, because you do have the Death card, right? It's like moving on from some sort of situation with the Singer of Courage here. But what's interesting is that you have here the Indie card, because I feel like there's still somebody here who's like not able to make a decision on something, like weighing 2 options, or just like this card was coming in with sort of like a fear of committing to something, right? It's kind of like once this decision is made, the commitment is locked in, is how that was coming through. It could be about like a significant 2 of Cups energy. So significant relationship, and you have the Mother of Cups underneath that. So there's an energy here of like a lot of emotion. Like this feels like an emotional decision. All of this water coming in underneath it here with the Dark Lady as well. It is talking about like unconscious energies. So somebody may be feeling something here about like not being able to decide on something because of how they're feeling about it. Or some sort of like unconscious fear even, perhaps. Could be tied to this as well. Which is really interesting, because these are the 2 cards that I'm seeing as being sort of like in the light, so to speak, whereas all the other cards are sort of like the background is dark, right? Especially with these ones as well. I was going to do a reading in the sun today because it was just such a nice day out. But I decided to wait, which is interesting. I feel like that's part of it. It's like maybe it's just kind of like a timing thing. But again, it could just be like focusing too much on the details of something, or like being really picky about something, or perhaps even just being shy about it, maybe. Okay, anyways, the next card out you have here is Teom the Poet, which is this card is bringing in a bit more playfulness, because these two cards are incredibly serious. Like, I've never seen these two cards come out in a reading together before like this. Like, so someone who like, perhaps there's someone here who's just like really thinking about something, right? Like, just like perhaps to the point of over analyzing, maybe, especially with the indie card, like not being able to make a decision, trying to weigh the options, that kind of thing. Whereas like this one with the Tame the Poet is trying to bring a bit more mischief or play or like not seriousness into a situation that perhaps feels very serious. So I feel like Teom's coming in to sort of get a situation moving is kind of how it's coming through, because there's something here about like in the guidebook it talks about like if there's a project that you've been wanting to start or something like that, or that requires a lot of energy or investment, it's like now is the time to do it, is how that's coming through. Perhaps having to make a decision about something. I feel like there's something here about as well, like trying to, I feel like there is an element of timing, like trying to find the right time to do something, or because it does talk about sort of like waiting in the wings, like waiting until the right time, maybe. Is there a right time? I don't know. Or it's kind of just like it feels kind of like someone's like putting something off, or like keeps putting something off that they know that they need to do, or something like that. Anyways, you're coming out here, or the energy that's coming out, I don't even know if this is, I'm just trying to use general terms. So you have here the bat, which again is talking more about like this is a transformation that's happening. It was coming through a lot with so much intuitive energies coming through. Like all of the cards that are coming through are like using intuition, and a lot of air, because underneath that you have here the moth and the eagle, which is just so interesting to me. I feel like there's something here about like, because I sometimes see this bat as like answering an intuitive call, like being called to something, and just following your intuitive guidance, even if you don't know necessarily what it is that's on the other side. That might be part of the like fear of commitment, is kind of how it's coming through, like not knowing what the outcome will be in whatever this decision is. I feel like it's kind of just like try and have a playful attitude about it. I know that that's like kind of like with the Singer of Courage especially, it's like it's hard to have a playful attitude about something that causes fear or anxiety. But here with the star card coming out after the bat, it's wanting to sort of like, because this card talks about hope, and connecting to the side of yourself that has hope, or that like fills you with peace or serenity, because I feel like whatever the situation is could be very stressful or causes anxiety in some way, but it's like just those moments of peace that you just get when there's like nothing to be concerned about. I feel like there's something here about like trying to reassure someone about like it's not as serious as you think it is. And I'm not trying to like downplay anybody's anxieties or like anything like that, right? Like I'm trying to validate what it is that you're feeling, but also there's hope. There's something like actually very Like it's like you're almost there, especially with the moth here. Well, that's the thing here with the star, because this card brings in sort of like there's no easy answer is what was coming through here. There's no easy answer to whatever it is that is being asked, especially with the moth card, because this one was coming through this energy of like wanting something to be really easy, or like wanting things to be fast or to be solved really quickly, or like seeing something as being sort of like it was coming through as like impulsive, which is interesting because that's not the energy that I'm seeing here. But I feel like, especially with the indie is the opposite of the impulsive energy. I feel like there's somebody who's wanting something to go faster, but it's not. I feel like that is how that's feeling. Especially if it's within a dynamic where it's like one person wants something to be an easy answer or like an easy solution to something, and there's someone else who's saying like, the answer is just to be hopeful about something. Just to have hope. It's just to like trust that like wherever it is that you're going is because I feel like there's somebody who wants like a very clear answer or a very clear outcome before they make a decision, and what I'm seeing here is that there is no clear outcome. The outcome is not clear. That's why it is wanting to go through this energy of like the unconscious, like it's kind of just like perhaps like a trial and error, right? There may be something here about like you have to try things and then analyze what comes out of it. What comes out of the owl pellet, right? Like you have to ingest or try things or like, right? Like, and then see what comes out. Like what was digested and what wasn't. What was useful to you and what wasn't. It's kind of coming through like that. But with the eagle here, because this talks about, so this energy comes through with like balance, a masterful balance of air and fire energy, especially because we started here with the fire, right? And this one was talking about an imbalanced situation or an energy that feeds imbalances, whatever that is. So it could be something like maybe there's someone who's been taking in too much of an imbalanced energy, or like choosing things or like going into situations that feeds imbalance in whatever way that is. And with all of this air energy coming out at the end, right? Because you have here these three, where's the bat? These three air elements. Then you have the star, which is Aquarius energy, which is more air. It feels like there's like the air element needs to be balanced in some way, especially with all this wisdom here, right? Like there's something here about like perhaps unconscious, like emotional energies versus mental energies, that kind of thing. Especially with the Queen of the Mother of Cups. Like emotional energies perhaps need to be balanced with more of like the rational thinking mind. I feel like there's also, because the last card coming out underneath this, underneath the star is the High Priestess. More intuition. This is talking like so much intuition. I feel like there's somebody who's needing to connect with their unconscious energy, right? What I was actually seeing for this is like, I was seeing somebody who was in sort of like, it wasn't a pool. It wasn't a pool. It was like a natural water source, like if you want to call it a pond or whatever. But I was seeing rock, like a plateau, but there was like, I don't know, a couple inches of water, and there was a line drawn in the rock where this person never went into the deeper end of whatever this pool was. I feel like that's what this is referencing. There's someone who has perhaps never gone into their emotional deep end, so to speak. Especially with the High Priestess, this one talks about like exploring your own shadow aspects. Because all of these cards are coming out here as being the sort of darker background energies. Like having to go into the deep end of something, of one's own emotions. Because I feel like there's something here about like, they're only seeing what's coming out of the owl pellet. And it's all of this stuckness. And they don't understand why it's stuck. It's because there's some sort of imbalance in terms of what it is that they're feeding, like what they're feeding themselves with. Right? If you only eat sugar, you're going to be malnourished. It's that kind of energy. So I feel like there's somebody here who's like only ingesting one type of source of nourishment, so to speak. And so it's causing this sort of like imbalance in the output, if that makes sense. When it's like there needs to be more of a balanced intake is how that's coming through. But I feel like the reason why that's coming in is that whatever the other aspect is an area that causes discomfort or that requires a lot of courage, right? Like having to step on into the other aspect where there is nourishment, where there is sort of like the balancing energy, takes a lot of courage for whoever this is. And there's no easy answer is what's coming through here. And it's not going to be sort of like a fast energy. It's kind of just like, there are going to be sort of like, you just have to try different things and see what the output is, to see what was digested and what was not, what was useful and what was not. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. I hope that helped. If this resonated with you, please like, subscribe, or leave a comment down below. It helps so much. Thank you for sharing your energy with me, and I hope you have a great night. Bye.